One. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Agents of Recovery podcast. So glad to see you here in the new year. We've made it to 2022. 2021 is gone. Thank you all so much for joining us, for listening, downloading, and sharing this podcast. We see our numbers increases, which means that you guys have been doing it. You've been sharing this with people that need a little assistance and some help sometimes. And the Agents of Recovery are here to do that. As always, Coach Blue Robinson here. I've got Brock Bevel here in the studio. Brock, how's life treating you in this new year?
Beautiful. We're all healthy. We are moving forward. And Happy New Year to you guys, man. Thanks for going into Season 2, sliding along, man.
We made it. Season 2. This is officially Season 2, Episode 1. Max Hall, as always. Max, how you doing this fine post-New Year's Day? That's all. We all made the cut. It does. It seems bizarre. Seriously. Well, listeners, with that, we hear a lot of things with the New Year's. This is kind of that bizarre kind of starting line. We're all firm believers that you shouldn't wait to start anything, but traditionally, many people try and start their New Year's resolutions here. New Year's resolutions are funny. I like them, but I don't like them. I like doing bucket lists and things, but I'm curious, guys, before we get rocking and rolling, guys, what are your guys' call and take on this? Like, as we start, it seems to be this imaginary line that is, January 1st, which is kind of funny. You see the gyms, they pack up for the first 2 weeks of January. Then by about the first week of February, it's back to the way it was, post-November. But what do you guys think of these, what do you guys think of New Year's resolutions? We're going to jump into some of these things about how to reshape your mind today. Tell me a little bit about, do you guys make these? Do you do these? Or is it just kind of a way of life? Max, what do you think? Yeah. Mm.
You gotta get home. Yeah.
Wow, where's that coming from? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Spot on, man. That's great. Mm-hmm. Spot on.
I confirm that with you, man. January 17th is National Quitters Day.
Nice.
Okay, so if we've had to get a national holiday because people start and stop things, but I love what you're saying, man. I love the word, if you break it down, resolute, right? A resolution is just a commitment that you make with yourself. And being resolute is somebody that's just passionate about accomplishing a goal. You know, I didn't look at Webster's. I'm sure one of you guys can confirm what resolute means, but it means like you're gritty, man, that you're willing to set a goal and accomplish it. The problem is, the reason I don't love them is because it sets us up for failure. What happens is, in my coaching business, people are like, hey, man, it's the new year. I'm going to wait a couple of days to start. I'm going to wait on January 1 to put everything in play. And then my goals are so big, I'm like, holy crap, dude. I mean, that's a great goal, and I don't want to knock you down or cut your legs out from under you. But here's the deal. How?
Yeah.
Like, if just because you say you're going to do something big, what's the process to get there? And a lot of people don't understand that it's work, right? It takes some dedication. You know, this year I want to be more spiritual. Okay. And I look at that, I'm like, okay, why wasn't I spiritual last year? And why is that something in my life? And the reason is I haven't made the time for it. And when you start evaluating your day and looking down, how am I going to get all these goals into it? It becomes daunting. And I believe that's why January 17th, people quit, because they're like, man, I don't have time. And I didn't prepare, and I didn't make the time for it. And so, interesting, my daughter called me up. She's in college, freshman year. She goes, Dad, I want to do 100 miles in January.
Sweet.
And I've thrown this out to all my family and on mom's side, and really nobody's jumped on it. So, Dad, will you?
I'm doing it with you.
I'm like, come on, man, don't be throwing that crap on me. But yes, I mean, because dude, you throw a challenge at me, I'm stupid enough
I hate
to
to tell it to you guys, but this is just God given right here.
Dude,
I don't
like,
even go to the
on,
gym.
Man.
So
Saturday I started and went out and did my 4 miles. She sends me a picture of her watch, and then today she sends me a picture of her watch.
This is
I'm
why.
like, man, I love that.
This goes perfect
like that's
in with
creating
what we're talking
and
about,
carving
okay?
out that time. So.
Number one,
that was a long way about. I'm not a big fan of it unless you carve out.
I had to find something
and you do
to
the
replace my
necessary
addiction.
to get it. Because if not, we're just creating
working
failure.
out's one of them. The endorphins it release,
and failure
the struggle,
creates laziness and depression and sadness and anger. Like, I failed again.
From it,
and I just don't think we're pushed the right direction.
It's something I had to replace. Mountain biking, there's things I had to replace.
Go ahead, Max. Yeah.
Here's the number one reason, and this tells you that when you set goals, there's got to be something behind it, and you have to be willing to put in the time and the energy and the effort, but it's got to mean something to you. When I when I was getting sober, I met a guy.
I'm in.
Who he was a counselor in there. I'm not going to use his name. I'm sure he wouldn't care, but he was a counselor in there. And
You're right. It does. Accountability is a big deal. But you know what? It's funny as you guys are talking. I'm thinking, all right, what am I coaching with? I'm coaching with folks that really.
I mean, the guy's been in movies and
they set these big, huge goals out there, but then they have doubts about whether their ability is going to be able to take them there. They don't realize it takes a hell of a lot of practice and effort to achieve these things. The biggest problem that I see, you guys, is that I'll train my athletes and they'll be out there, they'll do great, but they love game day. They love the day they can go out there, line up for the race, do the event, get all the fanfare, people are cheering for them, they get the medals, all this fun stuff. The problem is that it sucks when you're going out at 5 a.m. and no one's cheering for you. And so I see that there's a lot of those doubts that they kind of flood in.
So the look different part of
it
for me
is a huge carrot out there, and they realize
I don't want to look a scrawny little 175 drug addict anymore.
I don't know about you guys.
So
We
I'm
talked
going to
about
get in the weight room. I'm going to change my appearance.
It takes a lot of attitude.
I want to look healthy. I want to
we were
look fit.
talking about attitude and what it means. As it
That's why
pertains
I
to that
do it.
avionic term, like I was telling you about, I
It's
bumped
not
into a
just so
pilot
I can
once,
look
we got
good in a
discussing,
swimsuit or whatever.
instruments and
That's
whatnot.
whatever.
He
That's
told
a
me
benefit. If I'm in
something
really
pretty
good shape and I
interesting
look
about
great.
the most important gauge on the airplane
I did it
is the
'cause I
attitude.
don't want
It's
to
the
be that
pitch of the
guy
plane.
anymore.
I had no idea it was.
I don't want to
avionic
be the
term.
guy in that
But if you
mugshot
think
anymore
about
and look
it,
like that
you need to
anymore.
have a
I want to
slight
change
positive
everything that I'm
attitude, so it
doing.
has that
So there
nose
was
pitched up
purpose
just
and there
enough
was
to keep the
reason
wind under the wings to
behind
keep
my
the lift
goal.
from going. He said if you have
I
too
set
much
that
of a
goal out,
positive attitude,
and
those guys
inside
that
of that
rise
goal,
and shine, and they're
I
just
set
way
mini
positive,
goals.
bouncing around, Ned Flanders type people.
Just like what you were
stall
saying,
and you
Luke.
crash
I'm
because
gonna
you
eat
can't
better.
maintain that.
No
Eat
fast
those
food,
downer
no soda.
folks. If you're too
Okay?
negative, you're
That'll
going straight
help
to
me
the
feel
ground.
better. That'll help me
So
change
he says
and
you
look
got to
better.
keep an
Okay?
eye on that
I'm
all
gonna
the
set a
time
certain
because
time
those
where I'm gonna go
horizons
every
can
single
change.
day,
They
no
can
matter
kinda-
what.
They kind of mess with you. So
You know,
I
no
love
matter
that
what.
attitude
This is how it's
about,
gonna.
like,
This
you
is
know,
how I'm gonna do it.
Focusing
I
on
researched
like,
workouts.
have an
Okay,
ever so slight,
this
which means
month
you don't
I'm
have
gonna
to
do
wake
these
up
workouts.
ready to go every day.
There's so much
But if
more
you can
that goes
shift your
into it
attitude
rather than
even
just,
ever so
hey, I want to
slightly,
look
just
good.
something
I want to be big and I want to be
positive,
strong.
they'll give you enough
That
pitch
would
to
have
keep
only
the wind
lasted
under your
so
wings to
long.
keep you flying.
But because I
How
wanted to make a
important is it, Brock,
transformation
keeping
and
a
change who I
positive
was,
attitude,
as opposed
and
to
not
where I was
talking
at,
like, again,
that
Ned
still
Flanders
gives
type.
me the
I'm talking
motivation.
about
So
reality.
I've actually cut weight.
I'd rather be
I'm
sleeping
down
in
to
bed,
like
but I got to get up
206
and do
right now,
this.
right? And I've lost like 20 pounds.
I think Max.
But the
said
reason
it a
behind it is
second
because I
ago,
want to be
it's
lighter
all
on my mountain
good.
bike because
It's all
it
good.
makes me a better mountain bike rider. So
you
I'm
know,
going in a
Jim's
different
getting
phase
busy
right
early
now.
on.
Where
And we have
I'm
momentum,
changing how I
right?
eat.
I'm
and
excited.
I'm changing the
January
way I
1, my
work
body
out
feels
and
good. I'm excited.
just based on a different goal
when
that I
there's
had
nobody
this year.
watching you.
So I mean,
and Blue,
what's
you
the
just hit that.
purpose
I love
behind
that.
the
When there's
goal? What's
no
driving you
fanfare,
behind
you're
it? What's
alone
the
and you got
passion
to get up
behind it?
early.
You know,
we're great
that's
on game
what will
day
ultimately
because we have
put you
our
in a
team.
position
Our people are with
to
us.
go above and
But
beyond
when
to
we're
achieve
without
whatever
our
these
team,
goals
man,
are. So you guys brought it up. There it is. It's because I don't want to look like a skinny drug addict
I
anymore.
look at
That's
it this
why.
way: I got to be able to see it, feel it, hear it, smell it. It's got to be so ingrained in my head that no matter what happens, that goal is accomplished. Now, do I fall short at times? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I set a goal. I threw it out there to the world this year. I said I wanted to write a book by December. And I have the book pretty much done, but I didn't send it off. And so I'm like, why? Why? You know what I mean? Like, you were there, you hit the mark, but then you stopped when it was important. Mm-hmm. And so even though I did a great job getting to that point and I have most of it done, I didn't write a book. I didn't finish it. I didn't have it published. And so I think that's what happens is when you're alone and you're stuck to your own mind, if it's not something that is critically ingrained and it's a focus and every day that is bothering you, that is waking you up in the morning, like, dude, I got to get up because I got a goal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bigger than you.
Thoughts, Max? Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You're like, yeah.
It is. It came from Chris Farley, right?
Yeah.
No, I think Chris Farley's the one that kind of did a skit on PMA on positive mental attitude, right? I got to look at that. Yeah, but I think that's it. It is because go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Dude, yeah, that's the positive Santa, dude. Chris Farley.
right.
That's the funniest thing, dude. When you said that, I'm like, I've heard that skit.
And we watched the Rolodex of SNL go through your head, man. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah,
You're-
positive mental. Hey, but that's good. Blue, go ahead.
No,
I
you're
just
you're
cut you
fine,
off.
man. You know, I hear that, and I'm listening to Max, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's the same thing I see out here too. And this goal attainment. Have you guys ever seen someone give up way too soon when you know they have it in you? But it's like, they don't reach it because they give up. People give up when they face difficulties or they have setbacks, which sucks. Because I see this in real time. One of my best friends growing up, we were the same, man. We hit every benchmark the same. We did,
Rock.
school the same. Everything was
Be
the
who you
same.
are.
And then I got clean.
Find
He
out
kept
who you
using,
are. I think it's
and
more
he
important
gave
than
up,
anything.
man. I mean, he gave
Find
up.
out who you
When he
are.
came back, I was actually his
Find out
therapist,
then
and I'm like, I don't know
what
if
you
this is
want
going
to
to
be
work,
or
man.
where you want to go, what the
we've
plan
been
is going to
distanced
do
for like
it,
10,
and what
15 years
reason and
almost,
why
and he came
and
back.
drive
He
you
gave
have
it his
behind
all.
it.
He's doing really
Okay?
well.
What is
Every
that?
time this guy
And then
has
as you
something
go through
to
the
really
process, we
gain,
talked about
he
finding
flipping throws
joy
in the
journey.
towel.
Brock-
And I'm
Brock
like,
says
dude,
there's
why
no
do you
joy.
do
Like,
that?
it
He's
sucks,
like,
right?
I
Lou
just
says
go,
he can
how do you
find a
put
little
it?
bit of joy. Everybody's
afraid
different.
of success.
Okay,
Like,
I'm kind of in the middle.
bullshit.
The
Afraid
journey
of success.
sucks
That
until every once in a
drives me
while
up
you
a
stop
wall.
and you look
You
back.
guys see that with people
and you
you've
go,
worked with,
"Holy
maybe
shit."
even coworkers, teammates,
a year ago,
people you work
I
with.
was
It's like,
scoring dope
man, just
in
take that next step.
downtown
Don't give up
Phoenix,
when you hit a difficult. Like,
Now I'm
spread-
sober. I'm
lean
doing
into
good.
it, right?
I have a
Max, what do you
relationship
think?
with my wife and kids, and I'm on the up. And it has sucked to get to this point.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that feeling is worth it right there. You take that second, and then you go, okay, let's keep going.
It doesn't register, does it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Man.
I disagree with you, man. I disagree with you. That's funny because I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I love that. But sometimes our dreams overshadow people, man, and they're like, listen, Blue can't do that. Blue's got this big goal that he's gonna, I don't know, read 25 books in a year, and he's not a reader. He can't do it, right? So here's the deal. I don't tell a lot of people. I don't tell a lot of people my goals for the year. Absolutely. Because I don't think everybody will. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Because here's the deal, man. People that have some vision and goals, it scares other people, man, because now you're asking them to elevate. You know, it's funny. You asked two questions. You made two comments right there. Blue, talk to me about these. Ready? Max said, what do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to be? I think those two questions scare the shit out of people.
Absolutely.
And I'm not kidding, because here's the deal. What do you want to accomplish? I don't know. I'm 42 years old. I'm a dad. I'm beat up. What do you want from me? I don't know what I want to accomplish. And then you ask them, who are you? They don't know who they are, man. So like when we talk about the I am statement, this is critical. And people become paralyzed. Absolutely paralyzed. Blue, I want to know your opinion, man. When you ask your guys, hey, what do you want to accomplish? Do they throw out suggestions and ideas of what they want to accomplish, or why they can't accomplish
Oh
it?
man, they got tons of excuses. They don't know how much it's really going to cost them. You know what I mean? They don't realize the cost it's going to like take to be able to make that change. I love the fact that you use the term "I don't know." You know, it doesn't matter what age you are. When you drop the addiction behind you and you're ready to start anew, the first thing is, how am I going to do this? Everyone's like, I don't know. Well, that means you don't want to think. And my kids hate that because like, I ask them a question, like, I don't know. I'm like, you don't want to think. Come on. And it pisses them off, but it also gets movement because then they're like, okay, I can't just settle with that as an answer. But the I am thing, Brock, you are spot on. See, that's why one thing I know universally that we agree with is that we are more than just addicts here. That's a part of us. It's not who we are. So we don't label ourselves as just addicts. Hello, I'm Blue. I'm an addict. That's the dumbest thing I can do. Because no matter what, the two most powerful words that we discussed in the English language are I am. Because whatever follows that will eventually find you. So if you're like, hello, I'm Blue, and I'm an addict, guess what's going to find you? The lying, the cheating, the stealing, the manipulating. Because if you're using that term and you're in long-term recovery, which I still think is kind of weird too, you're waiting for that next boot to drop, right? And so I also think that the good news is you get to choose what follows your I am. Your brain can't tell the difference. It doesn't know if you're lying to it until you put the context into it. Talk about fake it until you become it. That's called practice. One day, Max walked onto the field as a kid, started throwing the football, and he pretended to be a football player until he became it. You know, we all carry these little things called babies in our hands, and we're like, what is this? We pretended to be dads until we became them. So I think a lot of times, Brock, you're spot on. A lot of these folks, they're so afraid and they're nervous to take that next step because what if they're not? Well, then there's something else. You know, we flip and hit this wall, and instead we give up too soon. I think you're spot on, Brock. What do you think, Max? Oh, man. I'm going to do it. Show them. Yeah, for sure. Yep. You're right. Yeah, shut up. Get out of his way. Yeah.
Bro, I'm married the second time to my wife. I've sat down with a guy and I had made a decision in my mind that I wanted to start a recovery program. And you know when you get juiced about a new idea and you're so excited to share it with somebody. I had to go pick up my kids up north. My wife is in the car with me in the passenger seat, and I'm telling her of this vision that I have that I want to start a program up north. And she straight up looks at me and says, "You can't do it. You're not qualified." That was the only time in my life that I wanted to kick somebody out of my car as it was moving. I was like, I got so mad. I'm like, what? I looked at it. I'm like, okay, there it is. That's all I needed. Thank you. 6 years later, I gave it up. Ran the business. I tried, that was the spark I needed. Say I can't do it. Say I won't do it. And I'm gonna show you. And so, but I think people's circles, I think that's a good comment that you said, Max. I think we're comfortable in our circle. I think we get people that are yes men that be like, okay, or no, you can't do it. They just go with whatever. Man, I want somebody that's honest with me. Like, hey, damn, dude, that's a freaking big old goal. How are you going to get there? Let's sit down. Let's make a plan. Let's set some guidelines. Let's set it up. And so you can be successful. And if you have people in your corner that are saying you can't do it, kick them out of the car.
But what about that, though, when it's real? Because I'm glad you brought this up. Let's get real for a second. I've got a guy right now I know listens to this podcast, and so he'll know when we talk about this, I'm talking about him, that has these kind of grandiose ideas. The problem is he doesn't know how to recommit, revise, and then remove something and then restart. He tries to go at it no matter what, even if it's dying, and his family's like, you're killing us. And I've noticed that there's only a few people, myself included, that will be like, you need to abandon this. It's not going to work. And the thing is, he says, yes, I can make it work. And he's like trying to breathe life into this dead horse he keeps kicking. When do you know, like, hey guys, I know you're all trying to inflate this man's ego here, but this is dead and it's going to continue to consume you. Like, does that make sense? Like, at what point, listeners, do you need to raise that flag of surrender and learn how to recommit, revise, remove, and then restart the whole thing? Does that make sense, you guys? Like, Brock, it's hard. It's hard. I love what you just said, but it's hard when, like, I can see it. Like, I'm sure Maren was like, you're not qualified. That hurt, but it was real. And you're like, someone told me straight. Why do people have such a hard time hearing it straight?
Well, first of all, it wasn't my current wife. I just got to throw that there. It wasn't Mare. Mare has never, and that's the problem. I think sometimes I wish Mare would give it to me straight. Actually, we just had a conversation last night, and she's like, I need you back in the home. You put a lot of time in your podcast, and you put a lot of time into other people, and we are kind of suffering from it. And so that hit me. So she did. So I did appreciate
real quick, Brock.
that.
See, I'm on the opposite side. I have all these great ideas, and Marissa's like, no. I'm like, well, what? No. And I'm like, I look back at it now, and I'm like, I'm glad that she said no. But like, seriously, why is it so hard for us to swallow this advice? Either side.
Because, dude, we're warriors. You know what I mean? The three of us are warriors, and
this never happens to Max. So it's just
we're
me and
looking
you.
for that, man.
Yeah,
I
just kidding.
Listen, my thing is sometimes we need that help. That's why we have really good wives. I'm sure Max has been slapped a few times by Kinsey saying, hey, slow down. You're going out this a little fast. Or maybe not, man. But
yeah, she has. You know that.
We need people, man. We need that. Go ahead, Max, because you got something. No, it won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm agreeing with you and disagreeing with you in the fact that if it was one of us three, we're going till we die. You know what I mean? We're just going to keep pushing it. What you're saying is when we have that advice, when we have those spiritual advisors in our life that tell you, hey, you're hurting the family. You have to make a decision. It's us or them, or it's this or that. That's where that evaluation comes in, and I hope that we're mature enough. But if we're left to our own devices, we're going till the wheels fall off, because we did an addiction, right? And that's just how we're wired. We're driven. I want to accomplish that goal, and then when we get that goal, we go for the next one that's even bigger. So I agree with you, Max, in the fact that we won't be the ones saying stop. It will be our loved ones. It'll be the people around us. So Blue, in your case, he's like us, man. He's driven.
Yeah.
He's just a driven soul, but he's got to have people that he trusts in his corner that he'll listen to.
100%. But what I'm hearing you say too, though, brother, is that a lot of people will give up goals when they realize that it doesn't match their priorities. When do we realize that? Because I know that family is a priority in your life. It is in all three of our lives. We've made adjustments to this podcast so that we can do it when our family needs us least. And so I know that's a big deal. But it hurts when someone points that out and says, hey, your goal can't be obtained because your priorities are slipping. But then you start looking at that like, okay, is it my goals don't match my priorities, or is it my goals don't match my values? And it's kind of one of these things, man, where I'm like, you got to take a huge look at that, because Brock, I know that you've made sacrifices. I know I have. I know Max has, to do things that were like, maybe less of a priority because we really wanted to put that cherry on top, or we really wanted to experience said whatever. Man, I'm with you on that. It's hard when someone else points that out, though, because then you feel like you're slipping and you're not doing enough. That's why I'm glad Marissa does that for me. She puts me in check, because then when there is a goal that she knows is attainable, she's all in, and I'm like, if I want a new Toyota Tacoma, that's going to help me achieve my goal. And she's like, no, it's not. You can keep driving the car you have. It's those kind of things that keep me grounded, man. But I'm with you when someone points out a flaw in my goal attainment because of a priority that I'm kind of neglecting. That's a hard one to swallow. What do you think?
Here's what I'm going to say. You don't have to abandon your goal.
No.
Maybe there needs to be some readjustment.
Recalibrate it.
There needs to be that assessment that we all talk about, that Sarah model: scan, analyze, respond, assess. You could do it really quick. And you got to assess your value. And that's what we did the other night. She's like, you spend a lot of time. You come in after dinner. You start at 4:20 in the morning. You're not home. You're non-existent. It's like, ooh, that kind of hurt a little bit. I said, okay, what can I do better to be, and when do you need me present? Is it taking the kids to school in the morning, or is it being at dinner, right? And all these things came to an evaluation, and I had to say, I have to give up some time. I'm not going to abandon the goal. I just have to be more reliable to my family. And it's that balance that we talk about. Sometimes we have to evaluate that process too. And is it working? And we have to be mature enough to say, what I'm doing right now is not a benefit to my family, and mature enough to pivot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly. I agree with you, man. And here's the deal, too, is I'm thinking this, listeners, you're getting gold today. And trust me, this is not where we were thinking we were going today, but I love the premise of it because, unbeknownst to the listeners here, we're like kicking in some goal attainment, like principles here. Brock, Max, how the crud do we teach people to learn to love the process of the goal attainment? Meaning, like, dude, it's hard to fall in love with recovery because it's uncomfortable. It's hard. You're bumping into people. You're having to make amends. People are watching you. They're constantly asking you if you're okay. How do you learn to love the process so that by the time the goal is obtained, you can recalibrate and do another, that you've got some history down, man? I'm curious if we have anything for the listeners, Brock and Max, that would help them fall in love. Because after a while, recovery wasn't as hard anymore. Healing from addiction didn't hurt anymore. And it became just a way of life. But I'm like, man, I really look back now and value the process, and I fell in love with it. Those same principles can apply when you're wanting to maybe accomplish a task or maybe even increase a principle in your life. Don't you think, how do we teach people to fall in love with the process?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, and I'm sure Max may have a different value system on this. You don't.
Nice.
I never fell in love with the process. I hated the process. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do. Mm-hmm. Looking back now at it, the process was cool. But going through it sucked. So, because that's where you find out everything about you. You find out how mentally tough you are, how physically tough you are, how spiritually tough you are. You're having more challenge thrown at you in a day than I've ever been thrown. Because I didn't have a base. I didn't know who I was. So all these life conflicts are hitting me. And now do I go back and act as I did as a user, a consumer, or do I go and act like a son of God? And so you have these battles. So for me, I didn't love the process. I thought mentally it was super difficult. Physically, once you get over the withdrawals and stuff, it got easier. But I think even today, it's mental. And I would really say that sobriety is a mental game.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I wanted to say to you guys. When we're setting sobriety goals and we're setting goals, there can't be a conflict. Okay? Now, let me explain what that means. You can't pick these massive goals going into a conflict situation. For example, I want to be a better father. Okay, I want to be a better husband. Those are all the goals that each one of us have. The conflict would be, I'm never home. Mm-hmm. So that takes some reflection. That takes some time to evaluate and make sure that if I'm going to set this goal, if I'm going to be able to progress forward, I can't have all these roadmaps in my way, these obstacles in my way that are going to hinder me. I want to lose 100 pounds this year, but I don't go to the gym and I don't eat right. So how do you love that process when you haven't set yourself up for success?
Then what's the process there? Because, I mean, is the goal then that you want to be a better father? Because it sounds like that's not even a place you should start. If you're never home, but you want to be a better father, what's the first goal? Does that make sense? Maybe it's like, I got to rearrange my schedule. Yeah. Does that make sense? And by you doing that, vicariously, you're going to obtain that. And so I get that too, but like, maybe we start back at ground zero here, guys. How the hell do you pick a goal?
Well,
I mean, because like you're right.
And that's really where the conversation begins, Blue. It does. Because we set these goals down just for everybody else. Or if it's a personal one where I want to look better. I want to lose weight. I want to be able to take my shirt off. You know what I mean? It's like, does that really matter? And am I really going to go to the mat with that? Am I going to fight tooth and nail to get that goal?
What's a better goal for that? Because that's a big one. I hear it all the time. People want to do that, right? Like, I want to lose weight. Is that a really good goal to hit? Or should we be starting somewhere else? Like, I want to learn to eat better. I want to learn, what I'm allergic to, or what, it doesn't make sense. Like, what's causing this? I want to cut down in sugar. Should we be thinking about the ultimate goal so fast? Because sometimes we get these hefty goals out there, and we miss them. And so how do we drown it out? Well, we get back into the addiction. We do the things that cause us to forget that we even had that goal. Maybe we're biting off more than we can chew out there.
Blue, tell me one goal that you set that tests your mental capability this year.
Oh, 100%. It was to run the Pony Express 50.
Okay, but think about it. When we set these goals, most of them were for a physical change.
100%.
I want to eat better. I want to get to the gym. I want to lose weight. All these things are physical, and those are the easiest
Well,
to
here's
change.
the goal.
But
I
here's
just
the deal.
said. I just barely
If you
said
don't work
that.
on your brain,
Yeah, Brock. I just barely
but
said
if you don't
that.
work on your brain, you're going right back to
So
it.
let me tell you this. I mean, we're going to get real honest here. I'll get very honest with you. When you guys came out here, man, and we're all standing next to Max. Max is a bad person to match yourself up with because the man's a freaking solid brick,
Sucks.
right? And I'm looking at me and I'm looking at him. I'm like,
Sucks.
man, I better lose some weight. So I told you guys a little bit about some health things that I'm concerned about, right? I've told you guys this kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, over the last month and a half, I've lost like 11 pounds. And I'm like, sweet, this is good. I'm doing this now.
Nice.
But the thing is, too, is like, I can't have that be the goal because the goal wasn't to lose weight. It was like, I got to eat better, man. And that was the biggest thing. I'm like, so, like pressed for time. It's always like, grab this, grab that. That's stupid. Because everything I'm making gains outside running or whatever gets filled back up as I'm like running and gunning, trying to get deadlines and stuff. And so I'm like, man, I had to completely reshape the way I was goal setting, man. It was like, to crap with all that. I'm cooking my food. I'm not eating out anymore. If I have to eat out, I'll wait till I get home. And those small goals, man, those small things, 11 pounds in less than 30 days through Christmas, mind you. So
That's
it was
dope.
way out of like line. I'm like, I can't just, I'm going to look like Max by 2022. Like, not going to happen. Not going to happen. But what we'll do is like, I'm going to start eating like Brock, kind of like, there we go. Does that make sense? It helps, but that ultimate goal, it's not there yet, man. I've got to do things way down here on the foundational level first.
Well, in my opinion, I mean, you guys probably think I'm crazy, but
Yeah.
I think you got to fix your mind first.
100%.
You got to wrap your mind around these ideas. If your mind's weak, you're not going to accomplish the goal because guess what? It's hard. Eating right sucks. It's
hard.
It's not easy. Going to the gym every day. Max didn't just show up like this.
No.
Right? And that's the funny thing. I had a guy who's like, oh, dude, your brother, he's a head coach in the NFL team. That must be the great, what did he have to go to get there? I'm like, listen, man, you don't even want to. That road that we go on, that you see these successful people, it is a grind.
Yeah.
It is a grind. It's effort. And so, but they're mentally sharp. Most of them are really focused mentally, and their body just comes with them.
Absolutely.
You eat right. Discipline equals freedom. We talk about that all the
And
time.
Max, that means you don't just sit around, man. Like you said, you're at the gym every day. You're doing what it takes to get you to make sure that you're feeling good, that your mind's good, correct? Like you're not just born naturally sexy, are you, brother? Like you've got to work on that, correct? All right. Well, we'll see you next week, listeners. Thank you so much for tuning. Yeah. %. Erase and replace. Yeah. Spot on. Mhm. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Yep. That's
Hold
spot
on, man. Hold on. That was fire.
Yeah.
That was fire, man. And I can we back up a little bit and talk about some of these things because I think we're going to miss the magic, and that might be it. Check it out. So you said, I don't want to be that guy no more. A lot of people listen to this podcast, even Blue and I, we're heavier than we want to be. Okay, we're carrying some weight in the wrong places, and we're not as sexy as Max. So obviously, there's the issue. But what's interesting is you said two words, man. You got to have purpose and a reason.
Purpose and a reason.
So a lot of people that are listening to this podcast are probably overweight. There's some women out there. There's some men out there that are just heavy. Okay. And just because you listen to this podcast and change some of your eating does not mean you're going to get skinny over the next month. But how about changing your purpose and reason for getting skinny? Most of the problem is everybody wants to look better for somebody else. Or it's thank you, or somebody has said something and offended them and hurt their feelings. Like my wife and I yesterday, dude, it was funny. We went on a date night and threw axes. If you guys have never thrown axes, dude, it's the best thing ever. But we went and I was like, I just want you to know on the way home, I was like, I just want you to know something. And I hope this isn't too personal, but it makes sense. I said, babe, I want you to know that I absolutely think you're gorgeous. Like, I think everything about you is beautiful. Your body, and I know that she feels like she's put on some weight and she's going through it. And I'm like, I love you. I've never thought about that. And then she said, but you've made a comment in the past. I'm not going to share the comment because I would offend the person. But she says, you made a comment about somebody else, about their weight, and it stuck with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this was one comment, right? And it wasn't meant at her, but it meant to her. It registered and it connected with her. And then this is something I'm going to go talk to her about, like this purpose and reason. Max, you said, hey, I cut weight because now I have a new purpose and a new reason. I want a mountain bike. So I want to be lighter on the mountain bike. And I'm thinking, dude, genius. Right? How can we take these goals and connect them to a purpose and a reason? And so that's some magic right there that these listeners, they can get behind. They said, it's not about somebody else. What's your purpose? What's your reason for being better, for getting sober, for losing weight, eating, whatever it is? Why are you doing it? And I think that's so epic. If you can identify that, you'll stick to those goals longer.
Dude, spot on. You guys are both spot on. And that's what I love about it. So listeners, we kind of went backwards to forwards, really, because, we started off kind of talking about why some of these things are harder to obtain when really we got to get down to, like Max said, what do you want and who do you want to be? Like I think that premise, Max, is golden because again, if we have this willy-nilly idea of what we want and we want to look like something that we can't become because there's other things in the way, of course, the slightest or like even the most obscure kind of adversity, we're going to throw in the towel and you're going to give up before you even begin. So goal attainment and like New Year's resolutions, they're not as easy. Maybe that's why. I mean, there's people, they say you gotta have a goal, it's gonna be measurable, it's gonna blah, 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 blah. Baloney. How about you start a little smaller? And then once you achieve that, then go for the next one. Don't put the flipping crown jewel out there, aim for it, and keep missing it because you're going to give up. You're going to be one of those naysayers. It's like, you know what? I hate New Year's resolutions. They all suck. It's because you suck. I'm sorry. When people say they hate them, I'm like, because you're not doing them. Like, you're doing them wrong. And that's it. For me, I had to really reevaluate the way I was approaching this and finding success. You know, like it's as easy as that. And yeah, it sucks and it struggles, but I'm like, I'm fine enjoying it. And I know Brock hates it, man. He wants it to be a struggle, wants it to be pain. You got to eat bricks for dinner, for breakfast. But I'm fine and passionate now too. I'm like, I'm excited because I'm like, okay, I can do this now. The first time, and you guys know this early in recovery, the first time you push through a temptation, a trigger or something, it feels good. And you have that like, oh man, I did it. But then there's that little bit later of like, man, maybe I should have. Don't cater to that kind of stuff, man. Stay focused on that next best choice and see what happens. As we wrap this up for our first episode of season 2, Max, Brock, I don't care who goes first. What are we leaving these guys with as we kick off this new season, this new year, man? What do you say?
I'll go first, Max. You delayed, man. Listen, be you. Be who you are. Be the most authentic person you can be, and find out who you are and fall in love with that person.
Spot on.
And the only second thing I would say is find a team, man. Pick a team. Tell somebody about your goals and let them hold you accountable.
I dig it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amen.
Spot on. Listeners, you've been well fed. Start this New Year's off with these kind of goal attainments, these kind of situations. They'll get you where you want to be. Listen to this podcast. Keep this one in the chamber. Don't archive this one. This might be able to carry you through 2022 and beyond. I want to thank you all for downloading, sharing, and subscribing. Do so. And, throughout this whole year, make one of your goals becoming one of us, an agent of recovery. Boom.